Dojan! Welcome in, everybody. I am Vicariously Jambi, and today we will be talking about Garden of Sinners Chapter 2, The Paradox Paradigm. Or, alternatively, The Paradox Spiral. And with me, I will be talking with Dakota Redheart in just a moment. Need to pull up Discord and everything, and then we can get into the talkie talks. Talking the talk, walking the walk. Walkie talk. Oh,
Hello.
that's a Dakota.
Greetings!
Greetings.
Greetings. How you doing, Chappy?
Doing alright. We're about to go into an ad roll, unfortunately.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do, but you kept on beating me up behind the scenes.
Man.
Trying to avoid it. And then we got Nami in here trying to ban words now.
Hi, Nami. Salutations.
Greetings.
Greeting. Oh, I almost said the word.
What are you doing, Judy? Being mischievous again?
I heard you meow during the starting soon.
Because she was trying to pull out my arm while I was trying to set things up. Oh, and meantime, well, since we're in the ad now, actually, it's probably be a good time for me to let everyone know I'm live
Don't make me kick your ass.
Don't make me suck your dick!
Don't make me cuddle you like a baby.
Don't make me suck your dick!
now. Love that regame. I love Drawn Together so much, even though it's like so fucking
Mm.
cringe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Ow! Fuck. What was that?
Burger time. Kwomp. Whopper, 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 junior, double, triple, whopper, flame ground with the extra adopters. I build my way.
Ah.
Oh, there's the ads.
Ad break ends in a minute.
Where there's an ad break when there was an ad break when I first turned on the stream.
Ad break within an ad break. We're in adception now, people.
Man. There should be a Twitch redeem to turn off ads.
Well, there is a thing. Well, technically, I guess I could, but I don't know if I can do that during stream.
You mean like turn off ads just all together on your videos?
Yeah. I don't know.
I think I heard somewhere that like even if you do that, there'll still be ads, but you just won't get revenue from it.
So yeah, might as well just keep it on then.
Yeah, there's no escaping from ads. But hey, enjoy your like dollar or 50 cents. Pretty
So-
cool.
I mean, it's better than nothing.
Yeah. Then do it, Nami.
Do
Calling
what?
your bluff. They have 2.2k points. They can and do this for a while.
I mean, okay.
Jokes on you. I have 103.8k. That's gonna be a lot of burgers if I redeemed all those.
Yeah, that would suck.
Okay, the ad stopped on my end.
Okay, that's good.
Habba-dabba-ba.
I'm just about ready-ish.
I just opened Blue Sky for a second. There's like that movie Sinners or whatever. I don't know anything about it, but like the director says that one of the inspirations was the new Puss in Boots movie's villain death. I don't know. That's kind of funny to me.
Oh, that new movie of Michael B. Jordan?
I think so. Yeah. Ryan Coogler says Puss in Boots: The Last Wish was a major influence on Sinners. I think about the villain death, his defining features, his eyes, his demeanor. I don't know. It's kind of funny. It's like, oh, this Shrek spinoff. That villain's pretty cool. I'm gonna make a movie inspired about it.
Interesting.
Shows how good the movie is, though.
Yeah.
Puss in Boots.
Yeah. I mean, Death was a very good, prominent villain.
Mm-hmm. One of these days, Death's gonna like visit Shrek.
I wouldn't mind Death being like a reoccurring character at some point. Like I could probably see like maybe in Shrek 5 Shrek gets like a heart attack or something, and then the afterlife is like just like limbo, so it's just like a barren like gray void, and then Death is there just wanting to tell Shrek about his livelihood and then give him like a second chance at life, more or less. And I have him say like, well, I hate letting people off with another chance at life, but like, well, you're just so good, or like.
I know there was like people joking about like how like Puss in Boots was hired to kill Shrek, but then they just became friends. Like Shrek's a cat person. Like, what if the same thing happens with like Death and like Shrek's like a dog person? It's like, you're pretty chill, Shrek. I kind of like you. Do you think Death was there laughing his ass off with us when the King Frog died? I'm dying. He's just like, oh my god, this is the funniest shit I've ever seen.
I mean, he could have been. That's the hilarious part about that, additional expansive lore with the introduction of like Death itself being there when there's going to be a catastrophe, or going to be there when somebody kicks the bucket.
Yeah. It's also funny they're inside you there are two wolves. The Death Wolf, or like the Red Riding Hood wolf in like the granny dress.
From what was it? Hoodwinked, I think what it was called.
No, there's like the other wolf in Shrek who's just always in like the night dress.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Jarringly different their character designs are for like a wolf.
Yeah, true. Well, I think it's mostly because of the animation stylization difference.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Because I think with the first, up until the second Puss in Boots movie, all the characters designs were more or less based on actual animal character, animal like
there's
IRL.
like a realism to Shrek's character designs.
Yeah, that's it.
It is kind of interesting if you like watch all the Shreks. You can see the character designs changing a little bit in like Shrek 4 and the first Puss in Boots, but like they still kind of look the same as the other Shrek movies. They had like that realistic grossness to everyone,
right?
But now it's just kind of like, okay, we just gotta make it look like an animated movie.
Yeah, and that's why I'm fearing about Shrek 5. And on top of that, they know something's up with them having announced Shrek 5 to be in like July of this year, but now it's going to be the fucking November of next year. That's not just a year difference.
Do you know why they did that?
I can understand, like, because July right now for like movies is like very packed with like a bunch of like possible blockbusters with Fantastic Four, the new Superman movie, and what was the other movie? There was like a third or fourth movie coming in July, but those are like the two big ones I can think of off the top of my head.
I'm pretty sure the reason why they did that is they wanted to swap release dates with another Minions movie, because the Minions movies make $1 billion each.
Ugh.
They're like, no, we want this. It's either Despicable Me 5 or Minions 3, but like, no, we want this one to come out in summer because that's gonna make $1 billion. Because for some reason they do. I don't know why. But like the Minions 1 made $1 billion.
Is Minions and Despicable Me DreamWorks? I thought they were Illumination.
Oh no. They're both owned by Universal.
Oh.
Universal recently bought DreamWorks a few years back. That's why you can notice the art style change in most of their movies.
Oh.
Because it's like a like it's still DreamWorks, but they have like a new like I guess art style and like animators or something.
Right.
Sadly, I think the recent movie The Wild Robot is going to be the last DreamWorks movie actually animated by DreamWorks in America. Now future movies are going to be outsourced. So like,
what the fuck is Shrek 5 gonna be then? If it's not gonna be done by DreamWorks,
it is going to be written, it's storyboarded probably. Everything else is going to be probably America, but then they're just going to outsource it to animators from other countries and just won't be animated by DreamWorks.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, like I think they might have fired a lot of animators in America.
Yeah, that sounds like Hollywood.
It's really sad because if you look at watch the trailer for The Wild Robot, it has some of the most beautiful DreamWorks animation. So they kind of went all out in their last movie.
Oh, I can tell. Like even in the trailer for The Wild Robot, like you can tell they put in a shit ton of effort.
Mm-hmm.
But wow.
I'm curious if Shrek's gonna have that same arts I don't want to say cell shade, but that kind of Spider-Verse style like Puss in Boots had, or if they're just gonna not do that.
From what it looks like, they're trying to go back to what they had with the last Shrek movie.
Mm-hmm.
And make it
like
more...
the new Shrek looks like it's made by the Croods people, like Croods 2 people. Like it's like the same art style as Croods 2.
Isn't Croods also DreamWorks as well? So yeah, I guess that would make sense. Yeah, I guess that would make sense then. I guess, well, if the same people who did the Croods, the Shrek 5, I guess it's in good hands in terms of animation.
Like, I have no doubt Shrek 5 will be decent because, they're basically doing all the money tricks that made Illumination successful.
Yeah.
But the only difference is DreamWorks has competent writers. They could actually make cool stories. So, I'm kind of okay with them doing, the Illumination tricks so that way they can, don't go out of business.
Yeah.
So basically, cheaper animation, make them look cutesier or marketable or whatever, and advertise it.
Are you saying really cutesier and more remarkable, but literally the fucking teaser trailer got so flamed for the character designs not being well defined as how they once were.
Yeah, they really kind of stylized their character designs a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind Shrek's daughter's design. Original characters are gonna look good in this style because they were made for this art style.
Yeah,
it's just gonna be jarring seeing old ones who were used to knowing what they look like.
Exactly. Yeah.
Donkey looks like he's from Madagascar now.
Donkey looks like he just got out of rehab.
Yeah.
All right.
But yes, my favorite Garden of Sitter character, Shrek.
So anyways, so let's talk about Garden of Sinners now. Basically, in summarization, we're finally going to not have any flashbacks anymore, as far as I know now.
Besides one, but that one's just kind of not important probably.
Yeah, it's skippable. It's one of those. It's one of the skip.
Well, no, there's gonna be a part 2 of the one we watched about her trying to kill Mikia.
Right.
So that not including the skippable ones, there's gonna be one.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember this now because after we finished watching chapter 5, we were scrambling to figure out what the fuck to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, my brain is still kind of fried trying to comprehend what the fuck we're trying to find.
Like, I think we just kind of confused ourselves, and it's like not that bit, not as confusing. I think it's because the wiki was wrong.
I probably, and it doesn't help that they're not all consistent with the naming conventions either.
Yeah,
got-
like the U.S. translation names.
Yeah, U.S. translation names. You got the Japanese translated names, and then you have the original Japanese names, which is just gonna add more into it, the fuckery. Because cause we got the paradox paradigm, or we got the paradox spiral. But in the chapter movie, they refer to the spiral more than a paradigm, which makes sense of why they would call it a spiral. But at the same time, I don't understand why the translation error or the translation came to that when the story is about breaking the spiral. I don't fucking know.
Maybe they thought paradigm sounded cooler. Like, ooh, that's a big word.
You know, it's a possibility. I can see that being a thing, a reasoning. But like, I really want to know what a paradigm is, because I've heard of it before, but I don't think it is what I think it means. Paradigm.
Look it up.
Definition. A typical example of a pattern of something such as a model, a worldview underlying the theories and methodology of a particular scientific subject, a set of linguistic items that form mutually exclusive choices in particular synatic roles. See, okay, now I get it now. I get it. So paradigm is sound, I think, phonetically and literally seems like a better choice, because like, yeah, you're talking about a spiral because there is like the whole hotel thing that we're gonna be talking about a little bit that is based around a spiral of choices that spirals out of control. But all the choices and everything that happen are because of the nuances of your mutually exclusive choices based on your syntactic roles. And then is there like an actual, like, I wonder if there's like a diagram or something like that of what a paradigm looks like by examples. No, it doesn't look like it. No, it doesn't look like it, because like if there was going to be like a, you know, like a spiral pentagram or something with an example of how a paradigm looks like, it would make sense. I mean, from what the pictures show off, there is a cross, which kind of fits in a little bit because of our main antagonist of the episode. Yeah, Johnny.
Isn't there a Fortnite character named Paradigm?
I think there is, now you say that. Paradigm.
All right, this episode is about Fortnite.
Yeah, yep. There's a character. It's really hard to explain. She like has a blue armor that has.
Is that the one that was revealed to be the actress who plays Captain Marvel?
No, it's like really hard what the hell she's wearing, because it literally looks like a.
Oh yeah, it's just one of those helmet things.
Yeah. Yeah, it has emotes too.
Yeah, they took her helmet off, and she's like she's Brie Larson. They made like a new skin. She's just Brie Larson, but like they didn't really hype it up, and you can't really tell because it's like a Fortnite model. You have to be told like, oh, that's Brie Larson, by the way, and it's like, oh, okay, why?
I can't fucking
like,
tell.
I guess. I think it's because it's like, oh, because Dwayne Johnson was like the other guy in her team, but like Dwayne Johnson's memeable, and people like, oh my god, it's fucking Dwayne Johnson. But like Brie Larson, no offense, is just like, oh yeah, Brie Larson, she was Captain Marvel. Okay, why is she in Fortnite?
Something like she's not like a beloved actor or known.
I mean, she is a gamer apparently. Like she apparently likes Metroid and would love to play Samus. So maybe she's like, yo, I'm a gamer. Can I be in Fortnite? And like, yeah, Brie Larson, get the fuck in here.
I mean, that could make sense, but like but also in terms of marketing perspective as well, you just got like a big like a top dog Marvel actor as marketing your game as well. So it was like kind of a win-win ish kind of thing. Hey, like hey, I'm in Fortnite, and then also hey, we get more free ad revenue just because we made a model of a character of this.
But like I swear, like it wasn't advertised when that battle pass happened. Like I didn't even know it was her. I just like this character has like a oddly detailed face. Like they look like they're like someone IRL because like the IRL Fortnite skins look weird.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
And then someone is like, "Oh, it's Brie Larson." I'm like, "Oh, why?" Like nothing wrong with it. Just kind of like, "Huh, that's an interesting pick."
Interesting pick too, and then on top of that, like you said, they didn't really advertise it. They clearly advertised The Rock because it's the fucking Rock, but
Because he's like he's memeable.
he's memeable, but like he's very recognizable. Like if you, even with how like clunky his model looks, you can still say without looking twice, that's the fucking Rock. With the
like, who would be a good female equivalent to The Rock? The only one I could think of is maybe Angelina Jolie or something. Where it's like, oh, she's famous.
I'm trying to think because like that's a really good fucking question because a lot of actors and singers these days don't really have the same consistent vibe or look. They often change it to coincide with like a music album or the next role that they're trying to portray. Whereas The Rock is literally the same fucking person everywhere he goes.
Yeah. Like maybe like a singer, maybe because singers seem to be more recognizable. Like maybe Lady Gaga or something.
Maybe Lady Gaga or maybe Katy Perry. I can't really tell myself. Like off the top of my head, when I think of famous female celebrity, my mind. Wait. Oprah.
Oprah would have been funny.
Yeah, that would actually be hilarious as a Fortnite skin. Not gonna lie.
Have her like emote be like, "You get a thing and you get a thing." And it could be like joinable where like people can join in and like grab a little present, like, "Oh my god, thank you, Oprah."
Yeah.
Haagen-Dazs.
So hold on, give me 1 second.
Okay. Papa. Let us feed the Banoi.
Get over here!
Now that we can try and catch him.
Wait, stop beating me up. Okay. Say okay. So, anyways, back to the topic of Garden Centers.
Yes.
This, if I remember correctly, jeez, you know what? Fuck, you know what? I should have probably paid attention to like when I think it was February of 1998 is where the events of Chapter 3 ended, right? I'm fairly certain.
Probably.
And so, in the meantime, there's a bit of a time gap, a little time skip between the events of Chapter 3 going into Chapter 5. So, we go from February to... Jeez, not August, I think, technically. Then it kind of skips... Goddamn trains. So we go into August of 1998, and starts off very fucky and out of sequence. Because we get introduced to a bunch of new characters. We get introduced to a bunch of people getting killed by this new character, or at least by one of them. Then we get introduced to the main villain getting his neck stabbed, and then he has a fucking seizure, and then his eyes like do a whole like 180 or 360. I'm sorry, I should say, and then like we just start out of sequence for this movie. And so out of all of the other chapters so far, this is the longest one with like almost 2 hours to his name, where everything else has either been like 30 to 40 minutes at best. So this was
it really felt like a 3-part episode, honestly. It was even like broken up with like
intermissions and everything.
Yeah,
it was really interesting, very odd, and the I guess we might as well just call it movie, because that's basically how long it was. It was as long as the movie. The movie itself was very broken up into various pieces where like they will linger on one scene, and then like 10-20 minutes later they'll go back to that scene to give you a not clarification but more what's the word for it? I'm trying to think right now.
Context,
thank you. Give you context of why that scene or how that scene came to be, because the new character is later seen sit on a park bench with Mikia and Toka, and like, when did he meet those people? And then later on, and further into the movie, if it's revealed how he meets those characters. And it's quite an interesting sequence of events. Like, it was really like mind-numbing at times.
I feel like they did that whole like going back to the same scenes is probably to give like the feeling of, like a time loop, because like there's like a loop theme in the whole the whole movie, with like the whole tower being basically a loop of like events happening over and over again, like the clock tower they kept showing at the beginning.
Yeah, that could be it. I could honestly see that happening, especially with how and the purpose of all this happening too. And at half the time when that happens, it's actually a sick. Okay, so man, there's like a lot of shit to unpack here. So basically, we get introduced to a whole new character named Enjo Tomoe, who is so Kaneko Nasu has a thing where he likes to reuse a lot of design choices for his characters of his series. And oftentimes it's quite obvious too. So Enjo Tomoe looks like one of the main characters of Fate's Stay Night, especially the original design look. So like, let me look up Shiro Emiya and Fate Stay Night. And let me see if I can find his design, how he looks in the original visual novel, because the visual novel has like slight differentiating design choices compared to what they look like in like the Ufotable anime. Fate Stay Night visual novel. Why is that like the 8th choice from top? I don't know. Okay, here he is. Here's his character sheet. So this is what he looks like in the original visual novel, the main character. Who does he look like to you after watching the movie?
I guess he kind of looks like Tomo, but Tomo looked a little different.
Yeah, Tomoe has a slight deviation to him. Like, the eye color, I believe, is different. I think his eye color was, like,
Tobo had like pinkish hair, right? I feel like he had pinker hair.
Now that you say that, let me look them up.
Like there are subtle differences, but yeah, they have similar haircuts, but I think they look different enough.
Enjo Tomoe. Well, that's the thing about Ufotable is that when Ufotable
Mhm.
does stuff, they often try to up the designs, I guess you can say.
Mhm.
Because that same character that I just sent you looks a little bit different in terms of how that looks in the recent. I don't want to say recent. This is like over a decade old now, but more of the recent Fate Stay Night anime adaptations, I should say. Then like there's Enjo Tomoe right there, straight from like the anime itself. Like it's really
Okay,
hard.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like I think they even have the same eye color too. They do.
Okay.
They
It must
do.
have been it must have been lighting because I swear his hair was pink.
It must have been like because like the entire time, this is all I could think. Like Shiro Emio's all I could think about in
Mhm.
that terms of the design, which makes me think of like which came first, Fate Stay Night
Mhm.
or Garden of Sinners. Which now that I say that, I'm looking that up now. But
Mhm. Well,
go on.
Tomo was basically kind of like a one-off character, so maybe it's just like I don't. If either is like, oh, it doesn't matter if he looks like the other character because it's a one-off, or it's like, oh, this character design's too nice just to like waste on a one-off, and they just reused it.
Yeah. Okay. So Garden of Sinners first started in October of 1998. Oh, which that would actually explain why a lot of their settings is based in the 90s. That would make sense.
Oh, I thought it was a period piece. No, it actually just takes place in present day. Neat.
Yep. So yeah, the original novels of Garden of Sinners were 1998. I think Fate Stay
Mhm.
Night was. I'm fairly certain it was like in the early 2000s. Yeah, 2004.
Mhm.
So there could be a good chance that Tomoe accidentally was the inspiration for the main character of Fate Stay Night.
Mhm.
Be interesting.
But then again, we don't know the time period of release of each episode of Garden of Sinners was. So like
No,
maybe
well
the one we watched
the thing.
came out in like the 2000s.
So the thing. Well, yeah, the Garden of Sinners anime came out in the 2000s, but the thing
Hmm.
is that the thing about light novels is they often have both the cover of the book that shows off the actual art style of what you're like expecting
Hmm.
from like the guy who like makes this or that. So like
Hmm.
man, I hate how this. Okay, maybe I need to. Garden of Sinners light novel uh
Did like a book come out first?
covers. The books came out first, way first.
Okay.
But like I'm looking up the covers of these books because Kanoku Nasu's art is very iconic, I guess you can say.
Hmm.
So like you can actually that's just the animation. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for any of his book covers because they have. Okay, this looks like what I'm looking for. They have like a certain vibe to them that's blurry as shit. But this is let me see. Open up Discord again. Yeah, this is the cover of one of the many books of Garden of Sinners.
Oh, neat.
Yep, and who can you obviously tell is on that cover?
Cheeky. But yeah, the art style looks a little different from the anime. But yeah.
Yep, and that was mostly that's basically how Kanoku Nasu's like early artwork looks, and then once he
Hmm.
started getting more popular with his various
Hmm.
series, then his art style started to have a glow up. Like that's
Hmm.
what Shiki originally looks like in terms of
Hmm.
design, and then like this is let me see if I can find a more recent. I think Ryogi Shiki Fate Grand Order was her last quote unquote updated appearance. FGO. Yeah. Yeah, here it is. So like, there's then and then there's now.
Same artist.
Same artist.
Neat. Yeah, they improved a little bit. They're both really good though. But yeah, I can see the difference.
And then that's the thing with like all Kinoko Nasu's work in general. Like, they will like have a big blow up eventually at some point. If he ever decides to like revamp them or give them like a HD remake. And then here's the definitive version of Shiki.
Let me see. The Chib.
The April Fool's Chibi. And then like
Garden of Chibbers.
Yes, the Garden of Shibers. Then you have other works that he's done, like Tsukihime, which I think was 2001. I'm 99% sure that was 2001, since Garden of Sinners is 1998, Tsukihime 2001, and Fate Stay Night was 2004. Because if I remember correctly, all of his prior works, Garden of Sinners, Tsukihime, and Witch of the Holy Night, were more or less world building that leads into Fate Stay Night as a whole, so you can have an understanding of what the rule set is, if that makes sense. Yeah. And yeah, here's an example of like Kinoko Nasu's like early artwork right here with Tsukihime. And then here's like
Neko arc.
yeah. And then this is like 20 years later.
Oh, interesting. Again, they're both really good though. Is this supposed to be, are they both supposed to be cover art?
The first one I sent you looks like screenshots of the characters from like respective scenes, and then
This looks like the other one looks like a poster.
Yeah, that I'm fairly certain that one's a poster. Because at one point there was like an anniversary of Tsukihime that came out. But instead of like remaking the actual original visual novel, they instead promoted a whole new quote. I'm air quoting this new Melty Blood game, which was a spin-off of Tsukihime. That is a fighting game that both continues yet remakes the original story. It confuses the fuck out of me. But yeah. Would love to have a remake of Tsukihime though. Would love that, and especially in that new art style. Mwah, chef's kiss. But what else? But yeah, that's generally what Kinoko Nasu's artwork is and looks like, and how it improved over the years. Now, what I'm trying to get at is that with Japan, light novels are not necessarily the same as novels that you and I are used to, more or less. If you want to make like a comparison, what light novels are, they're kind of similar to like Tolkien's Lord of the Rings books, in terms of like, yeah, you have like the actual story written in words, but there will be times where there will be pages of like drawn art and everything.
Okay.
And I'm going to mostly assume that within the pages of the volume Injo Tomoe is in, you get to see his design. It's probably going to be like a rough sketch, like what I showed you earlier, between like the before and afters. And that's why I'm going to assume he might be the inspiration of Shiro Emiya. Because, like, you cannot tell me, like, they literally have the exact same colored hair. It's almost like I don't want to say the same facial structure, because, like I said, in the anime adaptation that we're watching of Garden of Sinners, Ufotable likes to up the designs a little bit. But, like, it's really crazy how insanely comparable the two characters are, despite them being I want to say 6 years apart.
Hmm.
6 years apart, and not different universes because they're all actually connected in one way or another, which we'll be talking about a
Hmm.
little bit more when we talk about Toka in this
Hmm.
episode. Um, but yeah, so moving a little forward, we get introduced to Enjo Tomoe. He is not what I was going to expect in like so many forms, because how the because like all the like the chopped up editing of how we get introduced to the new characters and new bad
Hmm.
guy of the week basically. Tomoe is seen stabbing his and killing his family, and there's no context for that for like a good portion of the movie.
It was also very strange. It was showing him killing his parents, but at the same time also showing them trying to kill him,
Yeah.
but like glitched back and forth. It's like which one's right?
And at the same time, I noticed this too when it was
Hmm.
I hope no one's eating whoever is watching this. So how we're introduced to Tomoe is that we're seeing him stabbing his bitch of a father who deserves getting killed, by the way. Getting stabbed
Hmm.
in the neck, and then and then moments later we get like a jump cut edited part of him uh slicing and stabbing his mother's belly open and then playing with her insides. The thing about that is that the second that he tossed away his knife, though, I immediately noticed something was up because
No blood.
there was no blood on the knife, which
Hmm.
that immediately caught my eye. And the fact that he pulled out her innards in his hand, and again, no blood, I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Hmm.
And we'll explain what we saw as we get to it, but it shows that out of all the many characters we get introduced that are like murderers in this literal garden of sinners,
Hmm.
um he more or less is one of those many murderers basically,
Hmm.
and he's a unique case because he killed out of defense more or less, which we'll explain a little bit more as we get to that as well.
Hmm.
um and then after that he is seen, it's basically hinted that when he's running away, cause he's getting chased by bullies, and
Hmm.
he is being chased by people who are basically giving us a little bit exposition about this character, as like, oh, he's a high school dropout, he's being chased by his old school bullies and everything. And so it looked like he was just running for his life, didn't want to get beat up or anything, get mugged or anything, and then he more or less, my respect to him is that he didn't back down, and at the same time he like does the thing like I always tell myself I'm gonna fucking do whenever if I ever get into a big fight with somebody I think I'm gonna lose against. It's like, hey, you're gonna kick my ass, but I'm gonna take your fucking eyes, and he does.
Hmm.
He literally like goes in. And like normally when you go for people who have a fight or flight response who don't have any form of martial training of physical self-defense, like karate, kung fu, whatnot, basically self-defense in general, they
Hmm.
normally just flail their arms wildly because they're like so inexperienced and not very disciplined. No,
Hmm.
not Toboe though. He literally went in knowing exactly what the fuck to do and literally gouged out one of his attacker's eyes and smacked his head into the fucking concrete wall. And he was like, "That won't kill you," and I'm like, "I'm pretty sure he's dead."
Yeah.
And then, but unfortunately, the numbers game got to him. He got the shit beaten out of him, and then through the mist and smoke comes Best Girl to literally whoop ass and clean house, and reluctantly doesn't kill anyone. Unfortunately,
Hmm.
fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you see Shiki as a character.
Hmm.
And God, I loved it so much because the fighting was so clean, and at the same time, it also shows off Shiki's character as a whole of how she's a uh respectable girl, because like there was a point where she did like a fucking a high leg drop kick to a guy's head, and because of the angle how she had to kick, it kind of like split her kimono open a little bit to show off her legs, but she immediately hit her legs again, even though she's like in the middle of a fucking fight right now. So like she's got priorities, people, priorities. And I'm like, she's just so adorable in this episode. I mean, I really loved her character in this episode. One of the improvements I want to point out immediately in this episode is that they do go, like, all the supernatural investigation that was basically missing in all 4 previous chapters leading up to this point are either missing or lacking. They literally make up for it tenfold in this episode, I believe, because like you have Shiki meet Tomoe, they hang out, they get used to one another basically, and then they become friends, kinda. And then she starts questioning him about his lifestyle, his home life, his family, his friends. Why doesn't he have a girlfriend, even though he is conventionally attractive? Blah blah blah. And then she starts getting suspicious because his dreams don't line up properly with the events that he explains to Shiki about how he killed his family. So she is like, okay, show me. And then they go to the apartment complex that is cleverly laid out in many regard, because there's a lot of ways you can use to confuse a bystander who is unknowing of the circulation of the inner workings of certain complexes, because you have the standard elevator, and then you have like standard stairs, and you have like a generic color palette for most housing complexes. As even speaking from someone who has lived in housing complexes before, they are uniform and bland for a reason, and that's mostly because of simplicity. Like, hey, if you're renting from this housing complex, you have to make sure that the people don't mess anything up. And so, like, if you have quite literally buildings that look like, alt paste and everything, it is easy to identify any what's the word for it? Blemishes. Any blemishes in the house. So like,
you can notice, you can spot the differences if everything looks the same.
Yes. And so like, where'd this stain come from? You owe me money for this stain now, or you're not getting your deposit back because you basically punched a hole in my wall, Kyle. So stuff like that. This, however, is very different, and it's really hard to say to an extent how different each room is, because from the explanation of the main bad guy. But I'm going to assume that each room inside each apartment is unique to their own circumstances. But as we get to it, we have Shiki approach the apartment that Tomoe and his family lived in. And actually, shit, I forgot that we missed this part. So there was a burglar who discovers the dead bodies of Tomoe's parents. However, he goes to the police the next day, and they go to investigate the dead bodies. And
they're still alive.
They ring the doorbell, and the occupants of the apartment answer the door, and they're still alive somehow. And so that's also one of the things that confuses me, that confused us through a loop, quite literally, of what the fuck is happening.
Even confused the Tobo. He was like, watching the news every day, waiting for them to like talk about him, and then they never do. To the point he sees his mom shopping for groceries, and he's like, "What the fuck?"
Yes, and yes. And so, because of this, that's the reason of why he decides to go and investigate with Shiki is because of him seeing his mom alive, which didn't make any sense to him. So they go. So, anyways, they go into the apartment complex. They go and investigate his respective apartment, and Shiki decides to not like ring the doorbell just for the sake of it, and then they just enter the housing complex without alerting suspicion of the spellcaster of the apartment. So they enter the room. And then they witness what can basically be described as a pre-recording of the final moments of the entire family before they are killed. And so there are duplicates in this entire housing building of each room or each apartment room of people reliving their final day of life, basically. And Tomoe sees that his mother couldn't stand his abusive father anymore, kills him, kills his father, and then unfortunately, the duplicate Tomoe comes home and basically goes to his room to go to bed for the night after a long day of work, and she basically goes into his room and basically butchers him to death, basically, before unaliving herself. Which it doesn't make any sense to Tomoe because the real quote-unquote the real Tomoe is standing right next to Shiki, and so he's not understanding what he's looking at. And it wasn't, and then suddenly everyone's being attacked by zombies, basically.
Yes. Then zombies show up.
Yes, because of the other occupants in the other apartments who are dead are basically being resurrected to pretty much confine and control and capture Shiki, basically. And then we get a little reveal with the main bad guy that the Tomoe that we've grown used to throughout the movie is also a duplicate. The original Tomoe has been long since dead, but it was a special duplicate that broke the spiral, hint hint, wink wink, nudge nudge, to basically lure Shiki into a trap, more or less.
Yeah, he was bait.
And when Mikia and Toka find out that Shiki got captured and who captured her, Toka basically goes into confronting the main bad guy and his side bitch, Cornelius. And it's revealed that Cornelius is in on this plan mostly to get revenge on Toka from how they were pretty much rivals with one another back in magic school. And Ayara, the main bad guy, the priest that was pretty much revealed at the end of chapter 4. Yeah, chapter 4. Was pretty much wanting to utilize Shiki's mystic eyes to find the I forgot what it's called, the Akashic records, which is like a real life philosopher's stone lore kinda. Cause like, let me look up the Akashic records. As a
how they described it kind of said like basically the meaning of life, like why did it all start?
It's like from my understanding, because the Akashic records have always been kind of like a plot point in a lot of various series. It's like what's that Scarlett Johansson movie? Where
Johansson,
is that one? No. Is that one movie where
Lucy?
Is it Lucy? I think it's Lucy.
Is that the one where she gets like
super
drugs and gets smart?
Super drugs, and she starts evolving progressively because of these super drugs to the point where she becomes like godlike and omniscient, basically, where her consciousness gets sent into like before we became like humans and we were still like monkeys. Think that basically you get like omniscience in a book form, basically, more or less. Because what Google says, basically, the Akashic Records are a compilation of all universal events, thoughts, words, emotions, and intent ever to have occurred in the past, present, or future in terms of all entities and life forms, not just humans.
Okay, so he can see every death and birth throughout history.
Yes, and so what Ayara's plan is that he wants to have every death have meaning. So he wants to record and not have people be forgotten, because there's a lot of times where like you do something significant, but like you're gonna be like, unless you're gonna find the cure for cancer or something as significant, you're not going to be remembered as significantly as much unless you like leave like a good like namesake for yourself in death. But and so he doesn't. So Ayara doesn't. Who has been alive for 200 years, who has constantly seen like many events of human trifle and struggle. He doesn't want people just to be like forgotten in the like names in the mud. Basically, he wants to record all humans and their significance. And so in order to do that, he wants to use the Akashic Records to help him with his recordings. And then this is where he kind of jumps the shark a little bit for me, but then afterwards he immediately wants to be like, I want to end the world on top of that. So so I can have a definitive recording of all human life. And like I don't know how I feel about that, but like you do you. You gotta have to find a good justification for being the bad guy, but alright. And so what he wanted to do is that he wanted to use Shiki's Mystic Eyes of Death Perception, which utilizes the foundation and weakness of everything she sees as that focal point to obtain the Akashic Records.
Yeah, like if he wanted to like basically merge with Shiki, so that way they can combine their powers in hopes of finding the thing.
Basically. And then there's a lot of terminology that comes up here. But basically, Toka tries to stop them. She reveals that she can like conjure like familiars as puppets to work for her. And she starts off with like giant cat familiar, and my cat is having zoomies right now on top of that. Fucking great. Where it's interesting because this is like more or less what you're going to see in a lot of Kinoko Natsu's other works, between like a battle of like magi when they come actual direct fight with one another, where they show off like their most powerful spells or skills with one another. And unfortunately for Toka, she more or less walked into a bear trap, because Ayara more or less made his presence the entire building itself. So quite literally anything within the space of this building is basically under his control. And so it basically made the cat familiar non-consequential, to the point where like even where Toka thought she got the upper hand on him, he pretty much pulled a reverse Uno card and teleported behind Toka to rip off her heart, destroy her heart. And you think that was gonna be it, but no, he does not fucking stop there. He literally like breaks her fucking neck, rips off her fucking head, and then yeah,
And then puts her in the jar.
puts her in a fucking jar to preserve her head, because he knew that if he completely destroyed the rest of her body like that, he knew something bad would happen. That she like Like, that was too easy even for him, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Broke off her head just so that way he could keep her alive, so he can like record her death, because that's why he had all his other brains.
sort of, kinda, not really, because he didn't want to destroy her head, because he knew that something was gonna happen if something happened to that head of hers, which is why he kept it in the
No,
preserved
because
jar.
if he knew something was gonna happen, he wouldn't have given it to the other guy who wanted her dead.
No, see, that's the thing, is that that was basically, well, be careful what you wish for, Cornelius, and that's why he gave him the head, because he did make an agreement that, yes, I said you would be the one to kill Toka. You missed your opportunity, though. I killed her, not you. So all we have left is the fucking head. And here, have the head, but, like, careful what you wish for. That's basically what happened between those two.
Okay.
And Cornelius didn't fucking listen, because guess what was not in the jar? Not her fucking head. And then
No head.
no head? Anyways, and then this is where the chopped up editing comes back into play, because we get introduced to Toka stepping out of her car, going into the apartment building to confront Ayara and Cornelius, and then she dies, and then we get, and this is where it gets a little confusing, but I guess it's supposed to be a setup of like the timeline of events, where it goes back to Toka stepping out of her car again and going back into the building, which I originally thought was like, oh, did Ayara make like a duplicate of her now too?
Yeah, I was thinking that too, so that way she just repeats the same death over and over.
Basically, but apparently that wasn't the case. It was just chopped up editing again. And then as soon as she enters the building, there's a second car that pulls up behind hers, and that is Mikia and Enjo, who team up to pretty much try to save Shiki as well, with their own plan. And so and this gets more confusing, because when they enter the building, we get another car pulling up behind their car, and that is Toka again. And I was like, oh my god, what am I watching? And so
this entire episode is like that whole subtle foreshadowing meme. Like, oh, I love subtle foreshadowing, and it just like keeps cutting to like someone getting killed or something, like between each word of someone talking. This is the whole episode.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that it was like a creative choice to give the anxiety of like a time loop with the whole like clockwork, fake death loop in the fake deaths in the loop on like a constant repeat to keep making you question, like, is this being told out of order? Is this or are they all stuck in a loop?
And it doesn't hope that, like, literally the first 4 chapters have all been present, flashback, present, flashback. So, like, yeah, they literally, like, went ham with, like, being present, flashback, present, flashback, present, flashback. And then, okay. So then when Mikia and Enjo go in, they go, like, you go high, I'll go high, you go low, basically. And Enjo goes to the basement, finds his brain, because he is dead. He is fake, by the way. He is not real as well. And because of his fake body is starting to decompose and fall apart, basically, like Jenga. And so basically he wants to try. I don't remember the exact reason for how his side of the plan worked, but
I believe they kept mentioning a sword that could like break barriers in like reality, and I think their plan was for Tomo to basically bring it into the building to like help summon Shiki back. But then Shiki said like, "Oh yeah, that plan wasn't gonna work. I could just come back any moment, but thanks for the sword."
That's kind of what happened. I think maybe the sword was like a focal point because it was tied to her family for the longest time. I think that might have been it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was basically like, oh, this sword maybe can like help her like break free. But then Shiki's just like, oh, I could have just broke free whenever. I just didn't wanna.
Yeah.
But like, I guess thanks for the sword. It could have worked, but I didn't need it.
Yeah. So then, yeah, Enjo goes out like a champ. At least gets a stab on Ayara before he goes, and then cuts to Mikia trying to survive Cornelius. Mikia tries to kill Cornelius. That doesn't work out so well. And then we get another set of footsteps enter the room as Cornelius is about to kill Mikia. And that...
By the way, he destroyed Toka's head.
Yeah, okay. So while all this was happening for Enjo in the basement going up to meet Ayara, we have Mikia basically trying to find his way to bring Shiki back, and he encounters Cornelius with Toka's head. And basically, Cornelius hates Toka so fucking much that he basically toys and plays with her head to the point of gouging out her left eye and smushing her head like he was fucking from Invincible, basically. And that's understandably...
Mikia trying to hold back the throw up.
Oh, yeah. Understandably, that both sickens and scares the shit out of Mikia, and he runs away, understandably. He gets cornered, he tries to defend himself, does not work out so well. Cornelius beats the shit out of him to the point where I'm fairly certain Mikia should have brain damage, but that's just me. Anyways, and then we get another set of footsteps enter the scene, and that is Toka! Again! And it turns out that Toka, a long time ago, basically wanted to go on vacation, and so she made a duplicate puppet of herself that's neither better nor weaker than her. So it's obviously, you can tell it. You wouldn't notice it's a fake Toka, basically. And then this Toka opens up her suitcase similar to how the first one did before, and instead of the cat, we get like a fucking Lovecraftian horror pop out of the fucking suitcase, and it just gobbles Cornelius up.
Didn't she mention when the fake was fighting the bad guy? Didn't she mention about like basically giving him advice, like if you were to conjure something, make it look unidentifiable, like just an abomination, and then just like don't talk, just kill first. You know what I mean? Like don't like toy with your enemies, just strike.
Yeah, make a.
And then like when real Toka shows up, her new puppet is like you can't even tell what it is. So she's like, oh, this is the better Toka.
Yeah, and so she follows the advice of like her doppelganger, basically. And what's interesting too is that she even says that anything that the puppet version of her sees, hears, or feels, like she sees, hears, or feels it too. And she gestures to covering her left eye, like, I felt that, you asshole. Yeah, and so I really want to talk about Toka a real quick as like a little bit of a side tangent, a little side rant, and why she's such a significant powerhouse of a magus. Is because so there is 10 years prior to the events of Garden of Sinners, there is a series called The Witch of the Holy Night, which the main character of that series is Toka's younger sister. And do you want to know who the main bad guy for that series is?
Who?
Toka herself.
Oh, interesting. Is Toka the bad guy? Toka's the bad guy?
She is for that series, as far as I know. And the reason she was because there was a bloodline dispute of who gets to be the head of their clan, basically, because they're both gifted, powerful magi, but only one can be determined the new leader of their household. And unfortunately, even though Toka was the obvious older sister that should have been first choice, it was not. It was her younger sister, and that caused Toka to be jealous and want to kill her sister at one point, and then yeah, basically that didn't happen, thankfully. Then
They made up and became friends.
I have not gone that far into
Alright.
Witch of the Holy Night. I really have to, but I would assume so, considering that I think the main character of that series is still alive and active.
Mm-hmm.
And then 10 years later, you still have Toka being still alive and active. So, assumably, yes.
No, it's kind of funny with the whole Toka situation that just happens. She literally just did that whole bit where it's like, "Wow, glad I'm not that guy." But you're still alive.
And then this is also an important point of what I want to say, like that all the works prior to Kinoko Nasu's Fate series basically are basically world building leading into it, because this episode alone talks about a lot of lore things that you wouldn't have caught, but I did. So for example, like you have the Magus fight, which is, you know, standard in Fate. But they talk about something I didn't think they would talk about because of how fucked up IR's plan is in general. Like, so the reason that he had Cornelius build the structure of the apartment complex was to throw off the world's natural order, to so it would be a distraction of him not having the. So Mother Nature and the world are sentients, basically. And in order to protect Mother Nature and the world itself, the world has this magical life force create these things to be a countermeasure for the events that are going to unfold that could be a threat to the world. And it's called the Counterforce. And the first time I've ever heard of what a Counterforce is was watching Fate Stay Night. I'm not going to say who, because one of these days we're going to have to, and maybe after this if you're wanting to, Dakota, we're gonna whenever we continue watching Fate Stay Night and Limited Blade Works, one of the main characters, not going to say who, is a counterforce of one of the main bad guys, because the main bad guy, I think, I'm not gonna say who it is. If I remember correctly, he's wanting to basically plunge the world in chaos, more or less. And so
It's the Joker, baby.
more or less. But the Gaia, basically, the world life energy, created the counter force of. That's basically the antithesis of this character. So, like, for example, the main bad guy has access to every single weapon ever known to mankind. Literally, I'm not paraphrasing that. Like, any weapon that you see any fake character have, he owns it. He owns the original copy of that weapon in his vault, basically, that he has access to.
So like, you know, the ghosts are like people from the past, but he has the actual physical versions of them.
So
the weapons.
So servants and heroic spirits in the Fate series are magical 3D copies of their original counterparts. Even their weapons are magical 3D copies that still act like the original, but are not the original copies.
They're like crystal gems. They're like solid holograms.
Basically. But the main bad guy has a vault that has access to all their original unique weapons. The original copies. And so, what...
Bro broke into a ton of museums to get all that, probably.
Not exactly, because I don't want to tell you who the main bad guy is, but I will tell you from the episodes that we watched together, you have seen him. I'm not gonna say who, but you have seen him already. You don't know.
It's been a while. I probably don't remember.
Exactly. So you're not even gonna remember him when we encounter him again. But at the same time, you don't know who this character is until like they reveal his name. But even then, I don't think you will understand the context of why that's so significant as well, because like in the dawn of time, he is quite literally, because like each heroic spirit is a heroic spirit based off either real life circumstances or lore of some kind from different mythologies. I will give you a hint. He is the hero of the first written scripture.
Like the Bible?
No, or not. I guess scripture is the right word. The first written accounted story, basically.
Homer's Odyssey?
Before that,
I don't know.
it's an epic. I'll tell you that. Then. Jesus, cat. What was I going with this? I'll pause for the goddamn run times. Okay, and so basically the main bad guy has access to all the guns, basically. You want to know what his antithesis is?
What?
Someone who can copy all of it.
What's an antithesis? Is that like their powers?
Counterpoint. Their countermeasure. So, like, fire, water, basically
so
like
it's
that.
like Avatar Last Airbender kind of stuff.
More or less, yes. So the antithesis for the guy who owns all the weapons is the guy who copies all the weapons.
Okay.
So
his powers is he can copy weapons?
More or less, yes.
Okay. But he already owns the weapons.
You have the main bad guy who owns the weapons. You have the guy, and then you have the guy who
he's a henchman who can copy. He is a henchman who can copy.
No. He's one of the main He's one of the main characters. Oh. You have one of the main characters that can copy weapons. Then the main bad guy has all the weapons, basically.
Okay.
Yes. So, like, think Darth Vader with a lightsaber, and then me 3D printing a fucking copy of his lightsaber, basically.
Okay. The counterfeiter.
It's funny you say that. That's what the main bad guy calls the fucking guy who can copy weapons. He a counterfeit.
Counterfeit would be a good day for like a shapeshifter.
That I say that that's actually a valid thing to say. That actually sounds like a cool vigilante superhero name.
If I ever make a comic, maybe I gotta remember counterfeit.
Counterfeit. But yes, basically they bring up the reason why Cornelius made the apartment complex was pretty much to hide Ayara's plan from the world, literally the world. So they want to create a counterforce to pretty much prevent him from trying to destroy the world, basically. And then he underestimated Shiki, and he underestimated the Mystic Eye's death perception. Because this is why it's such a fucking broken ability in general. Because she doesn't have to physically touch you herself. All she has to do is, one, be in line of sight of her, more or less. And then, if it's sharp, she can literally throw it at you. And if it cuts any of those lines of death, it will kill you. And then with Shiki, she can literally break out of a separate spatial dimension that more or less is a recreation of the real life that she knows.
Yeah, the bad guy basically misunderstood her power. He's like, oh, I trapped her in a barrier, like another dimension. And Toko's like, you fucking moron. She can break any barrier. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yep, and he suffers the consequences of his actions, literally.
It's literally her power. You trapped her in a barrier? That's literally her power. She can break those. Dumbass. He's like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I know, I thought this through.
Yep. And then I love how the setup of her arriving is with the elevator shaking aggressively, of her escaping the barrier and the set pocket dimension and everything, and then she pops up in her white kimono, and with her sword in hand.
The sword Tobo brought for her to escape shaking. Then when she comes back, she's like, "Oh, that was just meaningless. That was just symbolism."
Yep, and she becomes a badass, and God, I love the fight and choreography, and I love how, if I remember correctly, at the same time when she's wielding the sword, this is when her alternate personality comes back too. The
Oh,
other
she got it
Shiki.
back.
Yeah, because how he even was announcing like, oh, so you cut through the dimensions, and have come back to our reality. And I see
Mhm.
that whenever you wield a different weapon, you
Mhm.
use a hypnotic trick to yourself to swap your personalities. So right now, I'm fighting the other Ryogi Shiki.
The murderous. Well, they're both murderous, but like the other murder one.
Yeah, the other tomboyish, murder happy one.
Hmm. You got chill Shiki, and then you got trigger happy Shiki.
Basically. And then we have an epic badass fight sequence between them. And then they literally goes to the fucking point that like he literally says, fuck it, we ball. YOLO, and then he literally tries collapsing the entire building on top of her to try to kill her. Which Fujino tried doing herself. That did not work out so well.
Mhm.
And we got like a awesome dive bomb sequence of like who's gonna land on top of whom, and literally Shiki came up on top and finally kills Ayara, who finally dies because he did not properly prepare a spare body to transfer his soul into, basically.
Mhm.
And that
Always keep it spare.
always keep a spare. And after that, we got like a very beautiful sequence between Tomoe and Shiki, where
Mhm.
seemingly they're both in limbo, or about to cross over to the next, to the afterlife. But Tomoe has somebody waiting for him on that side, and Shiki has somebody waiting for her on the other side. And they go their
Mhm.
separate ways, and they say goodbye to each other. And it's so beautiful, too. And they use that gothic, almost hypnotic soundtrack over it as well. And
Mhm.
there's complete silence outside of that. And it's very telling. It's so heartwarming, too. Just saying,
Mhm.
having a chance to say goodbye to that one friend of yours before you go in their own way.
Mhm.
And then Shiki wakes up to the sound of Mikia unlocking the door to her apartment, and remember correctly, and Shiki was actually surprised that he has her key, even though she gave it to Tomoe first, who gave it to Mikia afterwards. And this is where it gets so adorable for her, where she like when she is like acting cute and not murderous in her own
Mhm.
adorable way. Uh, she's just so cute. And then
She's like, it's not fair that you have my key and I don't have yours. Ooh.
Woo. Yeah, it's so adorable, and I love their like dynamic and relationship where like he's like the sane anchor to
Mhm.
her, and then she's it's so adorable.
Mhm.
Especially when she's like upset that he's gone for like a month without her like to keep her occupied with something, and so she's like, "Why did he leave me?" Stab my pillow.
Mhm. Mhm.
So adorable, and it's actually funny too, because it's like if you actually look up Shiki's wiki of her character, her personality is literally like labeled as cat-like,
Mhm.
and like you can clearly see it in this episode.
Mhm. Question: When Tomo went back to his real house and got like the real flashbacks of what happened, it didn't really show how they died. Was his parents actually abusive, or was that just fabricated by the bad guy in the loop?
So this is I kind of mentioned this earlier, where everyone in the apartment of the building of that
Mhm.
apartment complex are all reliving the last day they were alive.
Okay, but like when he got his true flashback, it didn't show the murder scene and they seemed pretty chill, or was it implying that like over time they became abusive and he blames himself.
It was over time because it starts
Okay.
off with his father actually being a decent person,
And
but
then he gets jealous of his son being like the man of the house.
yeah. So and then something happens where he was out late, drunk driving apparently, and he loses his license because of it, and so he risks getting a new job where he has to drive. He was out driving when he shouldn't have, and because of this, he causes a car accident. I kind of hope it's gonna sound bad out of context that he might have been what caused Shiki to get into a coma. I know it's not because of the flashback with Ayara. That one.
You know, that would make a lot of sense because, like, we got a flashback of the bad guy exposition dumping who he is, and he says, like, it was me the night you were fighting Mikia who stopped you murdering him. And like, we didn't see that episode. We're gonna get to that episode later.
I hope.
It would be funny if Tomo's father is the one who, like, ran over them and then stopped that whole fight. And then he's like, fuck you, I'm putting you in my torture house.
It's actually, I'm fairly certain that they even mentioned that the person he hit when he was driving was a girl. I think it might have been Shiki.
The bad guy probably remembered that. I was like, man, I was about to like capture Shiki before she got her powers, and then you fucking interfered. I'm gonna remember you and put you in my torture spiral house.
Yeah. So we got the flashback for that. The dad was actually a pretty decent guy, kind of an idiot, but a decent guy. And Tomei was a good student as well before he dropped out of high school to help financially support his family. But
It's really tragic how they became abusive, even though like he only was supporting his family because his father told him to be the man of the house.
So what happened was that the person he ran over, I don't know if it might have not been Shiki because they did confirm that he did kill whoever he ran over because after that accident, his family just constantly got harassed and bullied because of that event and because of and they kept on trying to move consistently to find a beginning, but like a rumor spread around and people catch on to who they are and what happened. And so because of that, the father couldn't find a stable job. They kept on moving around. Tomoe has no friends anymore. He dropped out of high school. He willingly helped financially support his family. His mother, however, is not the abusive one. His father is.
She basically just snapped and killed everyone.
She snapped. She could not take the emotional and physical abuse anymore to the point she crashed out. That's when she kills the husband. And then when Tomoe came home, that's when she went to his room and stabbed him multiple times. And then that's how Tomoe died. And so what you saw happen in the apartment is basically what happened to everyone in general.
I was just confused because we didn't see how they died in the true flashback. And it was like it was basically 3 flashbacks. You have the murder flashback, the Tomo murder flashback, and then you have the true flashback of their real home. But they didn't actually show how they died. But I guess maybe they just didn't need to. It was just
they didn't really need to because they kind of already like did without really saying if it's real or not.
Yeah.
And what else?
Yeah, the whole like murder house is basically like, okay, we're gonna have a bit of loop where they constantly die, and I'm gonna see if anything changes. Like maybe they won't die, but like no, they keep doing the same bullshit. They just keep dying.
Yeah, unfortunately. And that's kind of the point. Like he wants to record like if there's like a way to like break the cycle, basically. Which that's more or less the theme of this episode is trying to break a cycle. And unfortunately, with Ayara's experimentation, there isn't really a cycle to be broken. And then you have Shiki, who kind of broke the cycle, more or less, because of how her other half sacrificed herself to have Shiki we know return from the afterlife, or from her coma. And Tomoe, the fake Tomoe, more or less did break the cycle by being the one to kill his parents first before his mother killed him. Because
Well, he didn't really break the cycle. It was all part of the plan. That's why he
yeah,
had two separate memories. So he's like, all right, I'm just gonna pick this guy. He's about same age as Shiki, whatever. Or like, I don't know. And we're gonna like make him think he broke the cycle and ran away. And that's why he kept having the split memories of how the murder happened. Like, was it me or my mom? I don't really remember.
yeah. And I was like, oh,
Because of his memory was fake of him murdering, just to like be the bait.
because like the one memory was him killing his parents, and he had the original memory being played as his nightmare of how he was the one getting killed instead.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Was there any end credit scenes this time? I don't think. No, there wasn't. There wasn't.
There was.
What was it?
It was just Shiki asking for a key, and I think that was it.
Was that the end credit scene? Oh, it was.
Yeah,
It was. Yeah.
They pulled the Doctor Strange 2, where it's like, oh, who opened the door? We guess we'll have to find out next episode. And then like the secret ending answers the question. It's like, oh, then what was the point of that ending?
Yeah, not gonna lie, I thought it was gonna be like Tomoe again because of like chopped up editing and everything that they've been doing throughout the episode, and then no, it was Mikia.
Hmm.
So, Dakota,
Yes.
what is your opinion on the Paradox Paradigm?
I thought it was pretty good. It was the most like it felt like what all the episodes were like building up to. Like this felt like the big episode. Like a lot happened. It felt like I'm pretty sure it was. If this aired on TV, I wouldn't be surprised if it aired in 3 parts and then just like in DVD and theater releases edited together. But like, yeah, it was pretty good. There's a lot of action, a lot of mystery. I feel like we got to see like Shiki's personality more.
Hell yeah.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, I do appreciate that, like I mentioned earlier, that the paranormal investigation that was lacking in the last previous chapters finally like shows us full colors there, because like it's like, oh, there's just yada yada in this shit, and then you're just saying they're paranormal like investigators. No, they fucking actually put effort into it. Like, oh, let's go investigate the apartment, let's go investigate this person, let's go this and that and that and that, and that. Like they're actually pulling up the stops to actually justify it being labeled as an investigation, an investigative piece. And then, what do you think of the fight scenes in the animation so far?
They were pretty. It was a lot of action. This episode, it was all pretty good.
What else? What are your opinions on Cornelius and Ayara?
Well, the top hat guy was just kind of goofy. I don't really know how I feel about him. Like, is he dead?
As far as we know, he is dead.
Okay, well, he was just kind of like, okay, he's here. But the IR guy was kind of neat. It's kind of cool how, like, his eyes were, like, always shadowed out. Like, it was kind of interesting design choice.
Yeah, he's seeing some shit, basically. Like, being alive for over 200 years and only seeing, like, the tragedy of humanity, yeah, that's gonna haunt you.
Well, I mean, it was by his own choice. Like, he wants to record deaths.
Yeah.
So, like, you don't need to be looking at people dying, but, like, it's kind like, your reasoning's kind of nice. It's kind of like, okay, you want to record everyone's death so they can have, like, the history. Like, okay. I didn't remember him saying anything about destroying the world, though, but, like, oh, okay.
It's like and that's why it's out of pocket for me. That's why, like, I said it jumped a shark for me, because, like, it came out, like, left field. It was like a one-hand throwaway comment, and it never got brought up again the rest of the movie.
That's like me saying, like, oh, I love Doctor Who so much, but it will probably outlive me. But to prevent that, I'll just go kill all the writers.
You know what Ayara's thinking reminds me of, now that I think about it? It reminds me of that one episode of South Park where they introduced Funnybot, who wants to be, like, the funniest comedian artificial comedian in the world, basically, and wants to have like the greatest joke of all time. And the only way to preserve the greatest joke of all time is by blowing up the fucking world. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
Like, jumping the gun quite literally, but like, I guess that makes sense to an extent, because like, if you kill everyone in the world, or kill all the humans in the world, or everyone, depending on how he looks at it,
If he could... So you go.
you can record all their deaths and then give them all a history or a story for everyone to be to memorialize them. The problem is there's no one else there to fucking take interest in it. So like, you kind of...
I guess just him.
I suppose that's true.
But then you risk the thing where it's like, okay, I've recorded every life in Earth history, and there's no more Earth. I'm still alive. I gotta kill myself, so I record myself.
Yeah, he kind of...
How is he gonna? How can he record himself? He's not gonna know how he dies, unless he like, all right, I stabbed myself and then stabbed himself.
I think that might be one of the reasons why he's like virtually immortal in terms of like aging, because like he's already over 200 years old. He ain't got, and he can just keep making buys of himself if he does die.
But like, he'd have to record his death because it counts.
True. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's like one of those things like, we'll get there when we'll get there.
Yeah. But if he has the power to see all lives and deaths, then he'd just know when the world ends, wouldn't he?
Yeah, that's the part where it gets fucky.
Or is it just like he can see all deaths, not including like future present deaths? So like if someone on the other side of the world, he can sense their death and like, oh, that person, now they're in my memory.
Oh, there
it's
goes
like
Steve.
that how it works? Like
no, so the thing about it's literally how the Akashic records are explained from what I looked up, is that it's quite literally omniscience. It's like knowing anything, basically.
All right, so just like knowledge of everything, so he would just know when the world ends. So it's like, okay, that's everyone.
You would think that'd be enough, but like having that sort of power, that sort of knowledge would be very dangerous and trifling, and very depending on your intentions, would be very fucky to try to obtain. So I could understand that sort of approach being so dangerous that it could maybe alter the fabric of reality in the worst ways possible, even though we have like, because like the best of intentions are paved in hell, I think, or something like that, or I think that's how that saying goes, because like, you're trying to do good, but like, in order to do that good, you're basically going to end up ruining everything else along the way. And like, if they went with that sort of direction, that would make sense. But like, they didn't really do a good explaining of that sort of justification, or at least that I could have seen or tell by. So like, yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I want to do something good, but in order to do that, I have to do something evil along the way. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I get that. But then they throw in the offhand comment, and like I said, it's the one time they mention him wanting to kill everyone or destroy the world or something along that line to properly record
like,
all the deaths.
Destroy the world just implies that like he knows every current death but not future deaths. So like, he just like him blowing up the world just means like, well, I want to retire, you know what I mean? And then like, I'm impatient. I don't want to wait for everyone to die, so I'll just kill everyone now and just write it down, and I'll be done.
See, that's the thing about the Akashic records, is that's the memories, knowledge, and emotions, basically the knowledge of everything past, present, and future. So like, that's omniscience. That's all knowing. So like, that again, that goes into, and that goes to what I'm trying to say is like, that makes no sense.
It doesn't line up.
It doesn't line up with why they had that offhand comment in the episode. And like, you know, if like
maybe he thinks death is like the greatest beating, and like, once he knows everyone's death, like, they've served their purpose. Like, okay, you're dead. Now you're all written down.
I suppose, and I guess that's why he does have the experimentation going on, Whereas all those
Mhm.
other apartments were like, oh, let's see if there's something different that's gonna happen to these people.
Maybe they'll make a different choice and like break the loop.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was trying to go
Mhm.
for, and then no, not really. So I guess he has his justification where of all these vast amount of like various diverse experimentations, whereas like all these people just end up dying this specific way somehow in some way.
Mhm.
It's just I think Tomoe got like the short end of the stick where he gets killed by his fucking mom.
Yeah.
And everyone else, like, imagine that one guy like gets killed by like a forklift or something like that from work.
Mhm.
Oh, there goes Steve.
I would assume everyone had to die in their own homes, so that
I'm
way they can be in the apartment.
I'm trying to think that's the case, but I remember specifically at the start of the movie, we get introduced to the detectives talking about a bunch of like dead bodies or something like that, and
Mhm.
how like every time a dead body got reported, it went missing without a trace. So
Mhm.
I'm going to assume that every time when each time resets for the apartments,
Mhm.
it basically like disappears each body.
Yeah. Again, like they kept showing like this clock tower of like a clockwork people. It was like basically little like a- animatronics around a clock, kinda. Just kind of like it's all like the whole apartment was just like a clockwork like machine where just like they live, they die, and then they come
Repeat.
back to life.
Yep. Live, die,
Even when
repeat.
Tomo was decomposing, he had gears in his meat.
Mm-hmm.
But they're literally just clockwork people.
Clockwork Orange. Oh
Hmm.
no. But yeah, so that's my only idea or justification of like what's happening to like all the other apartment
Mhm.
goers, where like, okay, maybe they are dying and repeating themselves again and
Mhm.
again, and and since like you saw with Tomoe with him dying, his body literally fucking vanishes.
Mhm.
So that would make sense of why like the police are confuzzled with trying to
Mhm.
solve this case.
Yeah. I'm assuming like maybe when people knock, it resets the bodies, maybe, so that way no one like checks.
Mm.
Because when the homeless guy went to break in the house, the door was unlocked because Tomo ran away and
Mm-hmm.
he saw the dead corpses.
Yes.
Probably shut the door.
Yes.
When the cops showed up, they knocked, triggering the loop again. Because like Shiki was like, no, if we knock on the door, it will like basically add a cutscene to the whole scenario and we won't actually see the clockworkness.
Basically,
So like
yeah.
they just broke in, and because they didn't knock, the puppets didn't have time to react to like someone in their house. They just didn't even see them.
Yeah, basically, yes. Like autopilot basically.
Yeah, she
Um
she like skipped the cutscene.
what else? What was I thinking of? Okay. So, how do you feel about Toka's reveal and death, I
About
guess?
being a puppet,
Yeah.
kind of out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
It's just like okay, it's like oh my god, main character's dead. But wait, we forgot she's main character. No, she's not dead. She kind of just like pulled like a Rick Sanchez. Was like, no, I didn't die. I was planning everything ahead, and I was a copy of.
Ah.
Like,
um
was she like asleep somewhere? Because it kind of was somewhat implied where like the cop, like the real Toko would only awake when like the copy's dead.
from my understanding, I think so. So basically imagine being like cryogenically asleep and then you
Yeah,
just
she's
wake
just
up.
like in a magic pod full of mysterious colored liquid.
Basically, when I was hit Toka, I was like,
So is she the one who makes the puppets under their like agency? Because those is that why there's all those puppets? She just likes making puppets.
Yeah,
Is
she's
that her magic?
yes, basically. She is a puppet magi.
That way
So
she has a puppet that looks like Shiki. Is that just to prepare if something happens to Shiki?
possibly. But like with Toka, so in the world of Kinoku Nasu's works,
Hmm.
okay, and actually let me show you what Tomoe looked like in the Witch of the Holy Night, because like you can still see that's Toka, but like not Toka at the same time.
Hmm.
But during the events of but in Kinoku Nasu's works, a lot of magi have like specific
Hmm.
elements, I guess you can say,
Hmm.
that they are proficient in.
Hmm.
And this is an example of that where Toka is proficient with puppet magic, basically.
Hmm. She a ventriloquist of
Basically.
the highest advanced ventriloquism.
Yeah. More or less, yeah.
Hmm.
Uh...
That kind of reminds me. I saw like a clip of, I'm assuming, like the Justice League animated series about like an alternate universe where Superman just lobotomizes all the villains. Right? And when they're like, they basically go to Arkham Asylum and all the bad guys are just kind of like, oh, hello. Like, we're good guys. We're just like calm and weird now. We're good, but not evil. But like, it shows all the villains and you see the ventriloquist and you could tell that the puppet was lobotomized, not the human. That was kind of a funny detail. This is the puppet that's crazy.
Indeed. Yeah, it's actually wild with like how like deep the fucking lore goes when it comes to like fake characters.
Hmm.
Especially with like how Kanoko Nasu like likes to like how do I explain this? It's one of the reasons why it's like it's all one because of it all being a connected universe
Hmm.
that there's so much going on for it, and it's one of the few reasons why it's really hard to approach these kind of
Hmm.
oh, this is interesting. He's got rune magic, human engineering, general architectural magic. That's it. This is interesting. What is this? Huh.
What you looking at?
I'm actually looking at the wiki for Toka, and oh, interesting. Doesn't really specify what the fuck it does, though. Unfortunately, basically, I don't know if I want to say this because it's probably gonna be a spoiler in a future episode, maybe.
Hmm.
But apparently Toka does have a eye ability as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
What does she see? Puppets?
No, it's called the Mystic Eyes of Enchantment. If I
Okay.
remember,
Can she just see magic?
I don't want to say it's that. I think it's like,
I
Have you
mean,
have
makes sense how she just knows what's going on most of the time.
have you ever played D&D?
No.
You know the purple guy or the purple man from Jessica Jones?
I've never seen the show, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah, the mind control guy.
It's not really mind control, like how like
No,
Professor Xavier.
make,
It's like
he could just
pheromones.
make you. He can make you do stuff. Like he's like, I want you to do this, and you just uncontrollably just do it.
Well, it
But
is
like,
that, but it's not like Professor Xavier levels of like.
yeah, like
it's literally he controls like bodily pheromones that pretty much has you bend to his will, basically.
Yeah, it's not necessary that he's mind controlling you. It's just you're conscious and you just can't say no.
Basically, yes. That's basically what it seems like to me at how it's described as, because the only other character that has it that I am aware of such an ability is Akurid from Tsukihime, and her ability is literally the exact same thing, because she also has an eye ability called the Mystic Eyes of Enchantment, and let me see if they have a good explanation for that. Please fucking tell me. Mystic Eyes of Enchantment. Enable limited control over others, such as the ability to plant suggestions and paralyze people in place. So basically, this would actually explain...
Persuasion.
It is power persuasion, basically.
Yeah.
Which actually would explain why she can actually, like, get away with a lot of shit that normally...
it kind of makes sense. There's like, Yoshiki, you should probably work for me for a trade so I can trade you. I don't want to do that. And then she's like, you know what? I will want to do that. I'll be your servant.
More or less, yeah. Actually, that'll be interesting. Now that's going to be like a reveal later on in Garden of Sinners, if it ever gets revealed.
She's very persuasive.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like the Lilo and Stitch, where just like, why do you want me to do what? All right. Well, you're just gonna be good guys and help us now? Yeah, he's very persuasive.
Basically, that's more or less how it is. I don't like her design in Fate Extra though. Well, I guess that makes sense considering that her name literally has blue in the name, but like I don't know. Because like this is what she looks like in Fate Extra, and I'm not a fan of it. I don't like this. Give me my redhead.
Will she dye her hair?
I don't want. So this is why it gets a little confusing going to like the Fate series, because there's like alternate timelines.
Okay.
Yeah.
The alternate universe where she has blue hair. Okay.
Yes.
Why does it just make me think of like that Rick and Morty bit where they time travel or whatever? And it's like, yeah, it's true. I used to wear blue pants.
Oh, she also appears in other... Oh, what is this? Now this is an interesting revelation. I was like a family's recently mentioned by written in the heavens. She also having the best lands in Japan. Toku herself is a reference in the epilogue of the Heaven Seal out of Fate's Night. After she Oh, this is interesting. A lot of revelations here that I can't share on stream. Huh, okay. See, and stuff like this where like like a single character can like pop up like so many places at once. Quite interesting.
It's really weird that these shows take place in the same universe because their tones and magic seem different. Like the magic is kind of like, okay, the magic in Garden Center is like, okay, but then like, wait, you're also telling me there are wizards who summon like ghosts of like mythological beings and historical people, and they like do like a Hunger Games tournament.
So like
it's kind of Jumpy the Sharky in the Garden of Sinners universe.
The thing about that is that that's more like I said, like the previous works to Kanoku Nasu's stuff going into Fate is all world building leading into it.
Okay.
And basically, so like it's not everyone can summon heroic spirits willy-nilly anytime that they want. It literally has to be around a specific starting point when the Holy Grail basically reemerges itself or makes itself known so people can start being able to summon servants, and the only time you can summon a servant is if the Holy Grail chooses you, and the only way you know that is if you get a set of specific markings on the back of your hand that signify that you are a master selected to participate in the Holy Grail War.
Okay.
And so if you're a master, you can summon a servant, which is a heroic spirit.
It would be kind of unrelated. It would be kind of funny if someone like basically researched and looked up every time a piece of media references King Arthur lore being canon to their lore and trying to piece it together into one big King Arthur lore, or like it's all canon.
Oh, like that snow globe thing you mentioned?
Kinda, where it's like, all right, so like in this period, like he's like an anime girl and is like fighting in a Hunger Games, but also like in the past he teamed up with like the Transformers in that one Transformers movie, and then like he's like also related to Hellboy, and you know, and then like he gets resurrected in Night at the Museum 3, and then realizes like, oh, I'm a fictional character and has an existential crisis. But that's not canon. But
That would be fucky, not gonna lie. And then, well, I guess it gets even more fuckier when you get into the Fate, try to tie Fate into that as well because of King Arthur being, well, main timeline Fate King Arthur is a woman. There is actually an alternate Fate series where everyone gets gender swapped back.
Okay, so like lore accurate?
More lore accurate, yes.
Okay. So like Fate Stay Night is like the Hamilton of like history animes.
More or less, and then you got Fate Prototype, which is, I think, is the actual prototype for the Fate series. And then everything gets changed up later on. But basically, Toka, Cornelius, and even Araya technically would be able to qualify for the Holy Grail War. Because they are very powerful magi that do their own magi things. But when we get more into the Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, like I said, one of the main characters explains to another main character about how everything works and like how you get qualified for it. Because there's this thing that if you're not born into a specific prestigious magic family like Toka is, you'll not be born with a special thing a lot of magic users have to be able to cast spells properly, and that's called magic circuits. And I think it's somewhat shown in the episodes we watched with Rin when she's trying to run away from Lancer, where she's like casting her spells and she's casting rune magic, and there's these like weird things coming up her legs. That's magic circuits.
Dang, it must have been terrible when they closed down Magic Circuit City for
God damn it. Let's see, let me see.
Where am I gonna buy my Eyes of Newt now?
And the thing about magical circuits, Fate. Yep, there it is. The thing about magic circuits is that there is two forms of processing magic. Processing the magic around you or processing the magic within you. If you try only utilizing the magic within yourself, that's kind of like a death sentence, more or less. Because like that's your life force. It's like that. As any of you expend your life force, you know you're dead. But magical circuits in for people born with them basically can filter the magic surrounding them in order to process their magical spells. Actually, this is actually a really good picture right here. Jody!
What the Judy doing?
Get into plastic bags again. Yeah,
As sketch should be.
Where quite literally the magical circuits quite literally look like, you know, circuitry on your skin and everything.
Kind of reminds me of the Disney Atlantis movie.
It kind of is in that regard, more or less. And so, whenever you see a magic user of some variety, they operate with their magic, filtering the magical stuff around them with those magical circuits. Because, only utilizing the magic within yourself is very risky, basically. And so, because Garden of Sinners was, what was it, 6 years before the Fate Stay Night ever came out, you don't really see the utilization or the description of magical circuits as much or as frequently as we'll see going into Fate Stay Night.
Every time I hear the name of that show, I just think of like day and night, na 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 na, to stay at night.
Well, I have to say it in that regard because I can't just say Fate because I guess I could because it does kind of encompass everything. But what I'm referring to, because we're going to be watching it more often now, sooner or hopefully I would say, because it gets into a lot. It does lore explain. I will say that it does get into explain the lore of everything, and then it'll tell you about magic circuits. It'll tell you about the Holy Grail War. They'll tell you the purpose of having a servant, why you need a servant, and so on and so forth.
So I'm like guessing like Garden of Sinners is more character focused, and then Fate Stay Night is more like lore exposition focused.
Kinda, sorta. So what's a good example? Going into explaining this. So since Fate Stay Night was the first Fate anything, you know how the stuff I show you for Ruby is basically help establishing the world building and the lore and the rule set, everything the worlds of Ruby is set in and takes place and falls under. That's basically the generalization of what Fate Stay Night does when trying to explore everything else after Fate Stay Night. So you got Fate Stay Night, you have the two other routes, because the Fate Stay Night, it's basically like, the main character ends up with the King Arthur, or in Unlimited Blade Works, the main character ends up with Rin, spoiler alert, or in Heaven's Feel, the main character ends up with a whole different girl. Then you have the quote-unquote sequel of Fate Stay Night, Fate Hollow Atraxia, which introduces a new character, and the timeline kind of gets reset, more or less. Not like the whole timeline, like everything, but more or less the events of Fate Stay Night gets reset. And then you have the new character investigating that whole time rewind, and like, what the fuck just happened there? Then after that, that's kind of it for those set of characters, more or less. And then we get into the spin-offs, where we get into Fate Extra, which is, think The Matrix, but Fate.
Damn, Wizard Matrix.
It literally is, because everything takes place on the moon, inside a supercomputer simulation that is literally just the Matrix.
And this is canon to the other shows, but what are they projecting in there? Is it just a copy of everything?
It's alternate timeline, possible future maybe, and it has a similar, if I remember correctly, this was more or less the safer approach to the Holy Grail War, and so instead of like so many like casualties caught in the crossfire on Earth, they decided to adapt science and technology as one and have all Holy Grail Wars take place on the moon, basically. And then you have Fate Extra CCC, which is the sequel to Fate Extra, and then which is kind of has a different main character girl. Then you get into Fate Extella and Fate Extella. Oh, what's the other one called? Fuck, what's the other one called? Fate Extella and then Fate Extella something else, which takes place after the events of those two Fate Extra games, but at the same time, they kind of resets it again, similar to Hollow Atraxia. So it kind of recycles the same thing a little bit, but does it differently, because the first two Fate Extra games were like turn-based, then the Fate Extella games became hack and slashers. Fate Extella.
But her games are like canon to the shows, though.
Not in the traditional sense, but yes, they are.
Okay.
So like, Fate Stay Night gives you the rules and everything and logic that everything applies to, and then everything else after that is just like, okay, let's expand on that and go crazy with it. And then there's Fate Apocrypha, which I really hope we actually watch that together soon, really fucking soon, because like that's probably my favorite one, because this is like what it's like Hunger Games, Harry Potter Hunger Games, but with teams. So like
just Harry Potter Hunger Games,
basically, more or less. Basically,
there's like teams in those.
Yes, except you have Team Red, Team Black, and then you have like 14 servants that are like doing a whole bunch of shit on their own, and it's nuts, it's wild, it's wacky. I love it. I love the characters in it, and who you think is gonna win the Holy Grail War, you will not expect. I will tell you that. Then we have the Fate Prototype, which is basically another alternate timeline where everyone gets re-gender swapped, where everyone is more accurate to their historical mythology portrayal. And then, what else is there? There's Fate Strange Fake, where it's similar to Fate Apocrypha, except some asshole decided to try to make a fake copy of the Holy Grail, which in turn created a fake Holy Grail War, which still summoned a bunch of servants, but they're not the proper servants that are actually in the traditional Holy Grail War. So you have the traditional Holy Grail War over here, you have the fake one over here, and then they collide every now and then. And it's quite nutty. And like even like you and this is kind of where I think they start to deviate a little bit from like the traditional lore, because like traditionally it's supposed to be the master is supposed to be like a magus of some kind.
The master?
Yes. Not that kind of master. But for some reason beat of the drums. But for some reason the master of the fake Lancer is a wolf.
Interesting. So it's just like a wolf with magic?
It's not even a magical wolf. It's just a wolf.
Yeah, he just has magic.
No, he does this Poochie.
Wait, is the wolf the ghost or the wizard?
Is the quote unquote the wizard the master, but it's just a regular wolf.
So like the wolf's just chilling one day, and then all of a sudden he has a magic thing on his paw, and then like Napoleon's like next to him and is like, "What am I looking at here?"
Not Napoleon, but Enkidu.
Okay, whatever. Just like some historical guy. What is this? Is like a dog?
Basically.
How am I supposed to serve you when I don't know what the fuck you're saying?
That reminds me. Then if I remember correctly, the real saber I think is King Richard. And yeah, because it's the Lionheart. You have Hercules, kinda. And then you have Jack the Ripper, kinda.
My God, even like serial killers can get in on this stuff.
Oh yeah, if you have a significant like stake in history, like you are a part of the quote unquote throne of heroes, you will be engraved in the endless timeline for eons, and so anyone can start to summon you for this Holy Grail bullshit war.
Dang.
And there's actually 2 versions of Jack the Ripper that I am aware of that exist at the moment. One is the legend of Jack the Ripper, where even this servant has no physical form. They are a ghost even to themselves, where they don't even know what they look like. And so what they do is they basically shapeshift into other people. Then you have Fate Apocrypha's Assassin of Black, Jack the Ripper, who is a lolly, who is the possible root cause of Jack the Ripper's existence. Because back in the day of old, was it London? Yeah. No. I think it's France. Wasn't Jack the Ripper French? Because it was Jacques the Ripper. I think it was...
I feel like it was London, because they always reference it in, like, London stuff like Sherlock.
Yeah, so, anyways, back then there were a lot of prostitutes. There were a lot of thoughts. And then when you get pregnant and you don't want the baby, you either fall down some stairs hoping for the best, or you toss the baby in the lake. Basically, that's basically what they did back then for people who didn't want babies, especially prostitutes. And guess who gets targeted the most by Jack the Ripper? Prostitutes. And so this goes into like one of the possible correlations of Jack the Ripper's motives of targeting prostitutes was because of the mistreatment of children and whatnot. And he didn't like that, and so he wanted to be like the thought slayer, basically, because of that. So that's one of the running theories, or what's the word for it? Not motives. One of the motives for it. And then you have possibly someone who is Jack the Ripper who can shapeshift into anything or anyone, and then you have the lolly Jack the Ripper, who is the amalgamation of all the dead babies that were from all the victims of Jack the Ripper.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the cool thing about the lolly version is that they have quite the interesting main noble phantasm ability. Like, it's actually really fucking broken, and if it's against a female character. And who else? Guess there's Hercules in as well as the true archer. But this is before he became Hercules. This was like before he ascended to godhood, basically. The one that you do see get ascended to godhood in Fate Stay Night, you're actually gonna see him fairly soon, I think. Actually, next episode, because I think that's when he gets introduced. What else? There's like a lot of like Fate spin-offs like this too. So there's like, I'm trying to think of them all, because like Fate Strange Fake, Fate Extra / Extella, Fate Stay Nice, the original one, Fate Prototype, then Fate Follow Extrexia, is the sequel, then you get introduced to...
Are these all like TV shows, or are they like movies, like Garden of Sinners?
There are a lot of things. I will say there
like
are
seasons.
They
or
are
just like specials.
They are books, anime, games, comics.
I mean, just like the show stuff.
They're everything. They're everything like that. The only ones that
just shows and movies.
They're shows, movies, games, books, comics. They're all. Yeah,
I know, but I'm just talking about like the show part. Are they just like seasons or just like random specials?
They're spin-offs. They're all spin-offs. They're all their own. They are all their own
seasons, or like spin-off specials.
Spin-off shows.
Like a season.
Not. Well, I mean, they have their own seasons, yes, but like not.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I mean.
Not like
are they?
They're not connected specifically towards Fate Stay Night in terms of narrative direction.
Yeah, I know. I just like, is this like, I'm just talking like the format of all the animated stuff. Is it like seasonal, like spin-offs, or is it just like random little movies in the same universe?
It's not necessarily the same universe because they're alternate timeline, or some of them
You know
are.
what I mean?
They're spin-offs. Some of them have their own seasons. Some have their own movies.
Okay.
So it's kind of like 50-50 there. And
Hmm.
then you get into the app game, which for some fucking reason is like the 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 codex of all of these Kanoku Nasu works now, which is
Hmm.
both sad and concerning because there's just effort put into the app game in terms of like and it has story too, believe it or not.
Hmm.
And like in half the time whenever they try adapting certain arcs from that app
Hmm.
game, which that sentence alone is fucking ludicrous, by the way.
Hmm.
They just do not do a good enough job when it comes to adapting those specific storylines or certain arcs from the app game.
Hmm.
Yeah, they and what's kind of worse on top of that is like it's not even done by Ufotable. I think it's done by A1, which is the same people who did Fate Apocrypha, which is
Hmm.
still a really good anime production company because they also do solo leveling as well, and they do really good as well. Like they do really well when it comes to like fight scenes
Hmm.
and everything. But like for yeah, for
Hmm.
um oh my brain. But yeah.
Hmm.
Um Brain hurt. I forgot what else I was gonna say.
Oh no, Jambi's broken.
I broke it in.
Gotta revive him. Clear.
Ow.
Clear.
Ow.
Clear.
Fate series. Oh, okay. There was actually
We're losing them. Clear.
There's actually a website that ow. There's actually a website that actually lists all the Fate related stuff in order.
Hmm.
So, in terms of like anything, so there's like a whole bunch of spinoffs. So like you have the first Fate Stay Night anime adaptation back in 2006,
Hmm.
made by Dean Productions, which is
Hmm.
all right. It's fine for what it was back in 2006. But like when Fate Stay Night in 2010 and 2011 got picked up by Ufotable, holy shit, they shifted into a whole new gear.
Hmm.
And then they did oh no, actually, well, Fate Night. Okay, so it was Fate Zero in 2011. They did first before Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Wars. Oh, so yeah, then there was Fate Zero. That was the one I was forgetting. Fate Zero was the
Hmm.
prequel to Fate Stay Night,
Hmm.
and basically and ties everything together. With that kind of gets loosely talked about in Fate Stay Night, and we're gonna see that because like you're gonna have Saber talk about like, oh, I've been here before, something like that. Uh,
Hmm.
then you have the Fate Calais linear Prisma Ilia series, which is basically Magic its own spin-off as well that is unfortunately connected to everything because of Fate Grand Order, the app game, but it's
Hmm.
basically its own thing, more or less. Then you have the Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel route movies, which are awesome. I
Hmm.
really need to watch them myself. But like all the fight scenes and animations, it's done by Ufotable again, but they had the
Hmm.
production budget of a literal movie, so it's like better than the Unlimited Blade Works stuff that they did.
Hmm.
Then the Fate Extra Last Encore, which I watched. It's fine for what it is, but it's like not canon to anything. It's like, and what's stupid too is like the reason that they made this anime adaptation for Fate Extra as a whole was to
Hmm.
advertise people to go out to play Fate Extra on their PSPs,
Hmm.
which didn't make any sense because this came out in 2010. what was it? Where is it? 2020, 2018, I think. So
And this game is just locked on PSP.
yes, unfortunately, unless you emulate. But yes,
I mean, at least it wasn't the Vita.
yeah. And what's even
Even though
worse?
the Vita's apparently better.
Yeah, and what's even worse is so there's Fate Extra. Fate Extra got translated to America. Its sequel, Fate Extra CCC, did not.
Mhm.
So like you get here's Fate Extra. You're skipping CCC, but Fate Extella and Fate Extella Link got translated for America as well. So there's like a big fucking chunk of story that never got translated. It likely never will unless you yarhar it.
Hmm.
And then other than I need to look up the Lord El Malloy 2's case files because that seems like an interesting spin-off as well. But yeah,
Lord Elmo.
El Malloy. He
I just like Lord Elmo's like, Elmo's world.
my world. No. He's also he's one of the main characters for Fate Zero. And then he grows up to be a very well adept magus. You got Fate Grand Order, Absolute Demonic. Then you have the Fate Grand Order movies now, which is the first one's Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia. If I remember correctly, that is the tutorial level of the Fate Grand Order app game. Which is a fairly long a tutorial, by the way. Well, I want to say long, but it's like a good hour or two for you to complete it. Fate Grand Order, Absolute Demonic Front Wait, what was this one? Oh, Initial Iter. And then another. You got Heaven's Field, Fate Grand Order, Divine Realm of the Round Table, which is based on the Camelot story arc, which I think, if I remember correctly, they skipped a few story arcs that go into Camelot. And then Fate Grand Order, Divine Realm of the Round Table, Paladin, Agitatum. Then Fate Grand Order, Final Singularity, Grand Temple of Time, Solomon. Oh, they're skipping around for the Fate Grand Order stuff. Wow, that's actually disappointing. Because so basically, from what I read off the list of Fate Grand Order anime adaptations, they literally adapted the tutorial, the middle arc, and the last arc. Wow, they skipped a bunch of shit. And then got more Lord El Malloy stuff, and then god damn, they did another Fate Calade anime film, The Nameless Girl. Interesting. Then they got Fate Strange Fake, Whispers of Dawn. Special back in 2023, and then the Fate Grand... another Fate Grand Order. Fujimaru Witsuka doesn't... Oh, it's a short. Never mind, so it doesn't matter. You got the Fate Strange Fake full series expected later this year.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Is that an anime?
Yes, it's going to be an anime. I'm kind of excited about it. Only issue is that we've been waiting for so fucking long for this.
And
were
they just taking their time with it, or was it just like on hiatus?
So the I guess special that they released, the Whispers of Dawn, came out in 2023. And it's 2 years later it gained the full release. Hopefully.
Interesting.
And like I said, we fans have been waiting for this for like a good while. Like even before, like I think like 2019, we've been waiting for it. Yeah. All right. Probably gotta wrap it up here.
Okie dokie.
Before we do, Dakota,
Yes.
how many antlers out of 10 did you like this episode of Garden of Sinners?
I think most of the episodes I've given 8s or 7s. This one's probably a 9.
Honestly, I agree with you there. I think maybe an 8.5 for me, because it is a significant improvement from all that's previous
Mm.
Episodes, and does
Mm.
focus on a lot of the heavy investigation stuff that was kind of lacking in previous chapters up until now.
Mm. Yeah, it was definitely kind of an improvement from the last episode. It was just Shiki in a bed for like 40 minutes.
I feel that.
It's like, oh, her staying in a bed an entire episode makes sense now. They were saving the budget.
Yeah, saving the budget for like the big bad guy of the week reveal.
Mm.
Then it makes me curious of how the future episodes are gonna be. Like, because Murder Speculation B is supposed to be like another flashback. Then curious what the other ones are aside from that. So
It looks like the other ones, besides the last episode, are all kind of like take place a month apart from each other. So it's probably gonna be like a whole new story arc, probably like a
interesting.
3-part arc. I'm assuming.
Okay.
Maybe like I'm probably wrong, but I would assume since like we wrapped up this bad guy's arc, we probably just need to do like something new. And if it's gonna be 3 episodes a month apart, then maybe there's probably gonna be someone. Unless it's all just kind of like one-offs.
I can see it.
It's a lot of crazy stuff happening each month for these people.
Oh yeah. Like you just want like a regular Tuesday, and like no, you got like fucking, you got like crazy cripples, you got crazy nuns, you got crazy priests, and then you have crazy apartment complexes that probably have reasonable rent. Cheap rent, eat cats. Alright. Gonna end it here then. Tomorrow, or I should say later today, or later tonight, I will be back again with South Park Stick of Truth.
Nice.
After that, we're gonna be doing Ruby Tuesdays again with Ruby Volume 3. I need to watch the special features and everything for Volume 3 ahead of time. And then we'll be talking about Ruby Volume 3 after that. I'm so excited to watch Volume 3 with you, Dakota. I think you're gonna love it.
Okay.
And then after that, I'm free Wednesday. I don't have anything planned specifically for Wednesday. I was trying to get plans for Wednesday, but that kind of fell through, and so I can't really think of doing anything that day. So I have no idea what I'll be doing. I'll probably either be playing more South Park Stick of Truth or something. But yeah, if I don't see y'all again, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Thank you all for hopping by. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your time zone. Bye bye.
Night, everybody.
Yeah.